い、ようこそいらっしゃいました。さあ、ここで改めましてご紹介させていただきます。ウェイワードパインズ出口のない街制作総指揮監督 M.Night シャマランさん、そして主演はイーサン役を演じておりますマット・デュランさんにお越しいただきました。本日はどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Well, thank you all for having us here. It's exciting to be here in Tokyo with Wayward Pines, a show that we put a lot of work into and a lot of energy, and we're really proud of it, and really excited to be here.
Thank you guys for being here today and let us show you and talk to you a little bit about our show. And for me, coming to Japan every time when I have a movie or now a TV show, it's a great honor for me because the influence of the Japanese culture and artistry is a big thing for me. If you come to my house, I always have Japanese artwork everywhere, and Miyazaki and Kurosawa are two of my gods artistically. So I really admire them and learn from them. So thank you so much. It's an honor to come talk to you all. You know, I've been watching the level of storytelling rise in TV to the point where I think it's some of the strongest storytelling being done. For me, I judge a director on tone and how you can control the tone. Inconsistent tone for me means the direction isn't very strong. And some of the greatest storytelling tonally was being done in TV over the last 5 years for me. And it really drew me to consider this as a possibility to tell stories. And for me, I write and direct my films, and it takes 2 years at least, you know, to do my films. And this is a wonderful way to tell more stories and to be able to connect with the audience in another way.
Well, you know, I was excited about this, you know, from reading the script. I only had the first episode of Wayward Pines to work with, and it was very vivid to me. It felt like I was opening a really good mystery, really interesting book, and it really sucked me in. I had a lot of questions, you know. It's very evocative. The atmosphere of the script was really strong. Like I said, I had a lot of questions, so I read the next episode. We had episode 2, and more was revealed, but there were yet more questions. And I went to bed, and I found myself thinking about this town and all these people in this town and this, you know, this character who's seeking the truth, you know, there. And so then I wanted to talk to Night because he's the director and the you know, the producer on the show, and you know, I admired Night's films, you know, since having seen his work, and I never saw a false moment from any actor in his films. The performances were always really strong, even though it was science fiction, and I obviously had concerns about this show. And my biggest concern was that I just want to make sure that the characters are not, you know, that the story goes through the characters, and Night was in step with that. So I was ready to jump in with both feet. That's how I got involved.
One of the interesting things about directing is you're dealing with these artists that have different process about how they approach their characters and how they get to the truth. In this case, you know, some of the actors wanted to know everything that went on in the show, everything that happens in all 10 episodes, even when they're starting. Matt would be one of those, and then there are other actors that didn't want to know anything. And like for example, Terrence Howard didn't want to know anything. And then the funny part of it is their characters are the flip. So Terrence's character knows everything and Matt's character knows nothing. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. It was like the opposite of what's good for their characters. And in the end, I just told everybody everything.
I mean, he was a very good leader on the set, and I think I was a little sad when he left, because I was like, this is a bummer, man, because we got 9 more episodes to do, and I'm really happy with this guy. But he set the tone in a really good way for the directors coming on board, and that was one of the things we discussed in the beginning, was that he wanted each episode to be like its own film. And so the directors that came on, that tone was already in place. Well, I don't recognize a lot of it, you know, and I could say that this is Tokyo. I was here 20 years ago, but that was the last time I was here. But the first time I was here was in 1980 and it's really different then. And it was the first country that I'd visited outside of my own. After leaving the United States, it was the first country I'd ever come to. But I think it's a fascinating, incredibly interesting country culturally. My other, I came here, so I have this special feeling with Japan because I came. It was the first country that I visited. But then when I worked with Francis Coppola, when we did The Outsiders and Rumblefish, we did those two films back to back. He made me sit down and watch Toshiro Mifune movies. Francis was like, "You have to watch, Yojimbo. You have to watch The Seventh Samurai." And so, I was exposed to Japanese cinema back then. And anyway, I have a real feeling for this country.
Yeah, it is a difficult question. But I can tell you kind of structurally what I was thinking with the show, which might be surprising. And, we have our 10 episodes, and when I was, putting it on the board in my house with the writers and putting it all out, and there's a big revelation in the show, a big answer that makes everything that you didn't understand, you'll understand it all of a sudden at once. And you couldn't have possibly have guessed what this was. That moment happens in the middle of our show. That happens in the dead center of the 10 episodes, and that was a very big decision to do it that way. And I think that'll be a very unique thing for audiences. I can't think of another show that openly says we're gonna tell you this gigantic thing and we're gonna do it right in the middle. And the reason is because for me, the answer when you hear it is so profound and so interesting. You want to live in it. I wanted to live in that and with you guys and tell more of the story. Because I find that even more interesting than the tease and the mystery. And this is the really fascinating thing. You don't even know what genre you're watching yet. So that you don't know, you can't tell what genre you're watching, and you'll change genres right in the middle of a season. So very, very exciting and that thing. And also, when I started it, I was thinking, I don't even know if you know this, that it was originally, I was thinking of it as 13 episodes. And when I laid it out, it felt just a tiny bit thin, like I was stretching a little bit. So then I was like, let's try 12. And then I went, if we did 10, we have not enough time to do everything. And I wanted that feeling of like every episode has this huge thing that happens, every single one. And I think that's when you know the format is correct.
Well, I usually look for a strong character, great storytelling, and a good filmmaker. And that's usually what decides for me what I do, what choices I make. And I felt this had all those components in it, Yeah. And I think there's a lot of real creative potential in television, maybe the most. This is an unusual task for me. I come in and I direct the pilot just like I would direct a film, and then I change hats to one of my hats, which is the kind of the producer / creative person. In TV, it's kind of different. At least on our show, it was kind of different because I was still the creative decider of everything, and yet I was hiring directors and writers, and I would bring in writers, and I would say, well, that's not working for me, and then I'd hire a different writer to come in, and then we found the writers that I felt were going to give me the tone that I needed for the show. And it was a challenging thing to learn how to be the creative lead but yet be able to step to the side and be supportive and let these other artists do their thing in their best ways. By the end, I'd figured it out. I got the balance of it all. But at the beginning, I was tentative. I kind of stepped back a little too much, and then the show started to go that way, and then I was like, you know what? I need to step in a little stronger, and then we brought it back again. Well, I think the thing that's takes the most getting used to is just that there's a lot of writing that needs to be done, and there's a lot of scripts, and once the train leaves the station, it's a juggernaut, and there's a lot of it takes a little getting used to. So, you'll get a script and you're going to be shooting it in 3 days. And there were times when the scripts could be improved and would need work. And, that's just a reality. I'd be lying to say that wasn't the case, but that was. So sometimes that would happen. It's not to say that the overall structure wasn't already in place, but there were things that we needed to do just to tweak stuff, and there's not a lot of time to do it. But the beautiful thing about it is that we had a really great team. There was a great group of actors, and so you don't always know what's in store coming down the pipe, but I know I'm going to be going to work, and I've got an incredible cast to work with, and we did get some very good night, set the foundation, brought in some good directors, and we had some really good filmmakers coming on board. So it was a really good team, and I think that was probably, the best, it was a great learning experience, working on this show, and incredibly creative, It was an incredibly, it was a great energy put forth by everybody involved.
Hi, everybody in Japan. My name is M.Night Shyamalan. I'm the director and the executive producer of this new TV show called WAYWARD PINES. It's my first television show. I couldn't be any more honored to present this show to you. It has one of the best casts, I believe, that has ever been assembled on television. I was incredibly lucky to be able to direct them. And the material is so incredibly outrageous and amazing and full of surprises. I can't wait for you to see week after week what's going to happen, how unexpected it's going to happen, and I promise you'll never guess what's going on.
Yeah, hi, I'm Matt Dillon, and it is wonderful to be back here in Japan and to be here with Night and the lovely Ellen here and to share the stage and, to be presenting this show that I'm enormously proud to have been a part of, and I'm very excited about the show. There were twists at every turn in the road on the show from the very beginning. And it really was an adventure, and I don't think you can ask for more than that. There was a lot of discovery made as we went along, and we all got to know each other. And I mean, it's an incredibly exciting project, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. That's it. That's all.
はい、ありがとうございました。それで大きな拍手をお送りください。トヨタエリーさん、そしてM.Nightシャマラン監督、マット・ディロンさんでした。ありがとうございました。
Hi, I'm M.Night Shyamalan, the writer and director of The Sixth Sense and Signs. Here's the trailer for my first ever TV series, WAYWARD PINES.
世界同時放送出演マット・ディロン、ジュリエット・ルイス、テレンス・ハワード。
They're trying to break your mind.
映画「シックスセンス」の監督がドラマの常識を覆す驚愕の脱出ミステリー。
What are you hiding?
ウェイワード・パインズ出口のない街、FOX チャンネルにて金曜夜10時放送。
So I was sent here to find two of our agents. What happened to you, Kate?
Do not discuss the past. This is no ordinary town.
You're watching us. And listening.
Everybody's a prisoner here.
ウェイワード・パインズ出口のない街、FOX チャンネルにて金曜夜10時放送。詳しくはウェブで。